All right, morning everyone. Got head coach Jeff Traylor here. If you're gonna ask questions, please use the raise hand function. JJ.
Jeff, what were some of your big takeaways after watching the week one on the field?
I was pretty much spot on when y'all asked me that right at the game. We had defensively, we played really good. We did a good job stopping the run. Two critical times in the game, the giving up a 2-minute drive right before halftime hurt, and not being able to get them off the field in the 4-minute offense, that hurt. Offensively, we ran the ball very well. Passing game was not as clean. Crucial penalties on some plays where we had 3 first downs brought back on penalties or passes that were completed. Was really hurt. And then we had 8 penalties, and then we had some lack of execution on special teams that really hurt.
Greg.
Jeff, one thing we didn't get to ask you about at the end of the game was the situation with the spot of the ball near the end there. It seemed like that got some pretty strong reactions from your sideline. Can you provide any kind of clarity on what happened there or what you were thinking in that moment?
Yeah, they missed the call. I mean, you can go back and look at it. It was short. I could see it was short. My coaches up top told me it was short. Then they said put it on the 48, and I was like, well, then the game's over because it's going to be at the 48. They're putting it up there. The game's over. And they're like, no, we still got to measure. Well, then when they did that, it looked like it was short, and then then all of a sudden it wasn't short. And it's just unfortunate. And those guys have a tough job to do. So I was upset about that. But we should have never let it get to that point. We left too many opportunities on the field before that we did not capitalize on. And that's not why we lost the game. It was unfortunate. All the Roadrunner fans have seen the magic our kids have done so many times before. It reminded me very much of UAB. If they would have had to make a decision to go for it on 4th and 1 or to punt the ball back to us with around 2 minutes left. And we had gotten hot that quarter offensively. We just driven 95 yards, and that's what's frustrating. We really have all seen that play out before, and we never got a chance to see that play out. So that's why I was upset.
We talked a lot leading up to the game about JT's status. How close was he to being able to play, and what's the outlook going forward now?
He was very upset that I didn't let him play. He's a situation he had to deal with, but I told him going into the game I probably wasn't going to, and he really felt strongly those last couple of days he could have, and I just didn't agree. So we held him out.
Stephen.
Hey, Coach, looking at this week, you got Coach Kenny. In all your years coaching at Gilmer, did you ever imagine there'd be a day where you'd be a college coach coaching against one of your former players?
No, but y'all know me well enough. I don't get too far out in the future like that. I'm pretty much a guy that's pretty simple and try to win the day every day. So no, but it doesn't surprise me. His rise, he's always been different. So that doesn't surprise me about him at all. Me, yeah, I'm pretty surprised that I'm here.
What's that going to be like, though, just to see him across the way on Saturday?
I've got mixed emotions about all that. I'm very happy and proud for him, but at the same time, they're right down the street. He's created tremendous momentum. They just pulled off a major upset of Baylor over a 20-point dog, and they're taking back Texas is what I'm hearing.
Back to you, Greg.
Jeff, do you think the players in your locker room view that matchup any differently because of the success Texas State had this weekend?
I think it got everybody in the country's attention. I mean, you look at how GJ's flipped that roster. He did a total overhaul. I mean, everybody on the roster is pretty much somebody that he's brought in from a Power 5 school or from UIW. There's very few of those kids that are still there playing that are original Texas State kids. So it's the way of the new game. You saw the success that Dion had at Colorado, and GJ had very similar success in flipping the roster. So much credit to both those guys for playing by the new rules. That's the way the new rules.
What's your first impression of Texas State and things that they do well?
Kind of cut out on me, Greg. One more time, please.
Sorry, I was just asking your first impression scouting Texas State, the things they do well that jump out already.
The quarterback, he's really good. Both the backs are really good. All their receivers make plays. Coach Leftwich has done a really good job of continuing doing what they did at UIW, playing with tempo, taking shots down the field. The kids play with a lot of confidence. They don't make mistakes. It's really a lot of movement. Their guys are very athletic. They went and got some really good athletes out of the portal and done a good job with that. And then special teams wise, they're solid as well against Baylor. So it was luck. I mean, Baylor made a couple of runs at them, and Texas State just went right back at them. And honestly, they physically wouldn't.
What do you remember about your last matchup against Texas State? It was your first game here as the head coach. Anything that jumps out when you think back on that one?
Whew, that's a long time ago. It was hot, and we played about as well as we could have the first half, and we limped home down the stretch, to say the least. We had oil coming out, gas leaking, flat tires. It was coming apart quickly, and we were very fortunate to come out of there with a win. Would be the way I remember it, but that was a long time ago.
I bring it up because I was curious what you thought about when you consider everything that's happened since and the trajectory you guys have been on, how important it was for you guys to pull out that game at that early stage and to kind of get some positive momentum and some buy-in to what you were doing.
Oh, I'm sure it helped. If I'd have known we were going to lose 4 quarterbacks that year, and I don't think we won another game the month of September. It seemed like we won a real dry stretch there when all those quarterbacks went down. But I'm sure it helped, Greg, to your point. And I'm not sure I quite realized the magnitude of the state UTSA game at that point. But I've quickly learned in my 4-year stay here now.
JJ?
Jeff, what's your assessment of the offensive play overall? I know you said you want to clean up some things in the passing game, but overall, how do you think the offense did in week 1?
We were way cleaner than we were last year as a comparison. MAs were down. The linemen downfield, that's frustrating. Those penalties really hurt. And a couple of plays which we had back. We made some mistakes as coaches now. We made a couple of calls that were not real good that you always kick yourself in the rear end for making. But obviously when you only score 14 points, it's frustrating. Not getting points in the red zone, that's frustrating. And just wasn't good enough, JJ. And that's what I'm hired to do, is coach the team. And I didn't do a good enough job getting them ready, which is why we're 0-1 instead of 1-0.
Greg?
Jeff, I want to talk a little bit more about your relationship with GJ Kinney. What is it about that connection that has made him such a lasting kind of bond for you and somebody you've kept in touch with all these years compared to a lot of other guys you might have coached?
Well, the quarterback position is unique in itself. As you can tell by the way my quarterback's being treated right now, that, you really had to have those kids back because they're going to get all the credit and all the blame. And so the head coach is the same way. When it goes bad, the head coach is going to get blamed and the quarterback. So immediately there becomes a bond because, those kids have to have unbelievable support from their head coach because everybody's going to come after them. Well, then you throw in the fact that he beat me the year before, his father getting shot, dad leaving, going to Baylor, and kid was in a tough spot in his life, man. You can imagine what it was like being that young Your father's a high school coach. An angry parent comes in and shoots him point blank in the chest. GJ's a good-looking young man. He's got a great personality. You can imagine probably the small town jealousy of the star quarterback. And this is nothing he's ever told me. I'm just putting a lot of pieces together what this kid was dealing with when I inherited him. And of course, his mother and I became very close. Jocelyn, his little brother McLean, won me a state championship 2014. Something I used to tease all the time about, because I felt bad for McLean growing up in the shadow of GJ Kinney. I said, the only thing your brother's never done is win a state championship. That's the only thing he's never done. And that's something you could do, McLean. So I was really grateful. McLean was my quarterback on my last high school football team. So we still tease GJ to this day that that's the one thing McLean did that GJ never did. So yeah, a lot of special memories. Their very best friend, a young man by the name of Desmond Pollard, who their family was renowned for taking in kids and helping people. Desmond passed away playing basketball with GJ and McLean of a heart issue. And GJ called me right when it happened about, what to do and make sure he was doing CPR correctly. And did he do the right thing, calling 911 correct? All those things that I can't imagine what he was dealing with. I can remember being on the phone with him like it was yesterday. And that was McLean's best friend and like GJ's little brother. So there's just a lot of that, right, that people don't know goes on behind the scenes. Then we all started coaching together. Then we were at SMU together. Then we were at Arkansas together. Then my son Jordan is with us at Arkansas. And GJ and Jordan, Jordan used to worship GJ because Jordan was a younger quarterback at Gilmer. And now GJ's in the wedding. So I know that's a very long answer, but I could go on and on about a lot of stuff maybe that's caused us to be even closer than a normal head coach quarterback relationship.
And before you ever coached him, you alluded to this game, but I know that 2005 game against Canton, I read that he had 430 yards and 7 touchdowns. What do you remember about coaching against him when he was playing?
Just he basically beat me by himself. I mean, he was just a one-man wrecking crew. I mean, he was unbelievable. And we couldn't get him down. We couldn't tackle him. He has an unbelievable arm. The Lord gave GJ every single he got it all. He got the looks, he got the talent, he's got it all, man. He's a special kid.
I know that.
I'm sorry, he's not a kid anymore.
I was gonna say, I know that one season you coached him, I think there was you guys had a great regular season, and then there was maybe an upset early in the playoffs that kind of derailed things a little bit. And I know there was talk about even a record that he might have been in range for. How do you look back at that year and just kind of what he accomplished and how it played out overall?
We were easy to hate back then. We used to not be any good, and Gilmer got good really fast. And then with GJ moving in, and the UIL was, going to the UIL about it because people didn't like him moving to Gilmer. The UIL ruled totally in our favor. We were easy to hate, and everybody was against us. And I can remember, LaMichael James played as good a games I've ever seen him play that night. We couldn't tackle him and turned the ball over, and we got beat, and that was a tough loss for all of us back then.
Was it coincidental that you guys ended up on the same staff at SMU in 2017, or did you play a role in bringing that together?
No, you got to remember when GJ went to Tulsa from University of Texas, Coach Morris and I were good friends, and Chad was his OC at Tulsa. So Chad and I got really close even during that time, just because he wanted, just to talk to me about the ways we had used GJ and how he wanted to use GJ. So Chad and GJ became very close at Tulsa because of all the success GJ helped Chad get the Clemson job because GJ played so well. So that's how Chad went to Clemson as offensive coordinator. So we kind of, all three of us, that's where Chad and I and GJ and I obviously were already close, but him and Chad got that relationship going. And then when Chad went to SMU, he brought, me and GJ there with him.
And then you were a couple of years ahead of GJ when it came time for you guys to make this transition into the head coaching role at the college level. Were there things you were able to offer him about, that next step or how to step into that role?
Yeah, we speak all the time. Just interview questions, how to handle them, how to handle media, how do you handle JJ and Greg every day of your life and anticipate what they're going to be asking you, all those kind of things. It's just there's a skill to being a head coach. There's just nuances that are not the same as when you're calling plays or being a position coach and you just fundraising, media, slogans, his Take Back Texas, Triangle of Toughness, all those things are, there's a lot to it, right? And GJ and I have talked through all these for many, many hours. He deserves all that credit. I'm not in any way trying to say I played any part in this at all. Don't hear me wrong, but I'm just trying to give you a little bit about how much him and I communicate and what we discuss.
Did the tone ever shift once he ended up with one of UTSA's primary rivals here? Maybe some advice better kept to yourself or anything like that?
Probably this week, but no, not. I don't even know how this week will go. I don't even know. I really don't know. But yeah, we spoke Saturday before his game and after his game. And I was really thrilled for him. I mean that. This is all going to go away one day, Greg. This is all going to stop. There's going to be a day where none of y'all are going to give a crap about talking to Jeff Traylor. But me and GJ Kenny, we're not going away. And that's what it needs to be focused on more than anything else.
JJ.
Jeff, you guys plan to talk this week?
I don't know. I don't know how he wants to play that. Since I'm older, I'll probably reach out to him. And, we're both very open books and we both love each other so much. It's probably best if we just text, but I'll play it however he wants to play it. I'm sure he's really excited. He's already kicked my butt once in 2005, so I'm sure he's probably looking forward to it again in 2023.
Jeff, I wanted to circle back to the Houston game for a minute. What happened on that illegal formation play on the field goal attempt? Was that a legit, or you got an explanation for what went wrong there?
They said we were lined up over their center, which is against the rules. So Brandon was moving over to his left A gap right when the ball got snapped. So as he was moving over, he technically was over the center, which by the letter of the law, that would be a correct call.
And then just some of the other miscues on special teams, you feel like all of that stuff's correctable, or you have to make changes?
You mean changes like personnel or
right? Yeah, personnel.
What would you like done there, JJ? Personnel wise, you'd had to go through, each one of them. The punt snap was a little high. So Lucas didn't, do a real good job of handling a high snap, which caused the punt to not be as good. Then our outside gunner came inside too far. And when you don't hit the punt well, if you can't get your triangle over the punt returner, so you need somebody on the point, you need two guys flanking, and you need both gunners to be down there near him. Whenever you see a ball caught by a really good athlete and that triangle and those gunners aren't near them, hold your breath. And so we had to do a better job with our skill kids of snapping and punting. And that's on me. I'm the head coach. Nothing's changed the way we coach special teams. We spread it out amongst our staff. Same guy has been coaching D snappers here for 4 years, is still coaching him. Same guy coaching the punter, still coaching the punter. Same guy coaching the returner, still coaching the returner. We just had the trifecta of bad execution. We dropped a kickoff by a guy that's seen catch a million kicks and punts. We didn't snap as well as we usually do. We didn't punt as well as we usually do. And all those things are fixable. but we got to do it. And by my calculation, the way we figure it, we gave about 190 yards on the special teams, which is about 13 points, and we lost 17-14. So you can figure out how much that really has upset us, as how poorly we played there this week.
Jeff, you mentioned something about Frank Harris in one of the answers. I wanted to ask you what your reaction to some of the things that's going around online with him.
An insult from a fool is a compliment. A compliment from a fool is an insult.
And then my last question for you is defense looked like they played very good against a pretty good team. How good can that unit be overall this season?
Obviously, health always plays a huge factor in that. But if we stay healthy, we can be as good as we've been here, and we've been really good here on defense.
Steven?
Coach, I want to circle back to the you and Kenny. Before he was at Texas State, he was at UIW. What was that like, having him back in the same city as you for that time?
It was fun. We got to see him more, and it's just his wife and his kids. I mean, Summer, we've known those people a long time, and so it's just good to be around them, get to go hang out with them, see them come over, all those kind of fun things. Now, his life was so busy, and mine, it's not like we're just hanging out all the time. I don't have much of a life, but the few moments, Jordan never came home. That meant DJ got to come over, and I got to see him and hang out with him. So, yeah, and he's the best. He's fun to hang out with. He's a blast. Dude loves to eat. He can eat. Like, I hope he's having to chill out some, but when he was young, man, he could crush it. And he used to make fun of me getting old, and I couldn't eat like he used to eat. And he'd eat whatever he wanted to. I'm over there eating a salad and some chicken and putting some kind of fat-free dressing. He's over there with freaking mustard, ketchup, ranch, double bacon, double cheeseburger. Dude loves to crush it now. He's a lot of fun. He's just a fun kid to hang out with. I love that boy.
Greg?
Jeff, you mentioned kind of the reaction that you've seen to Frank Harris, but how has he handled it internally? What was his mentality kind of like yesterday, coming back from a rough game for him?
He's devastated. I mean, he's visibly devastated. I mean, it's crushed him. And, that is Frank Harris. He's trying to take every bit of the blame. And I'm just not going to let him do it. Kid's probably had 50 live reps since the bowl game, and he played 80. And what if? Just play what if? What if those 3 penalties were not called? How about the plays he made? I mean, look, watch the plays he made. That doesn't erase the throw and the catch that the kid did out there. How about the one where he scrambled and took on a dude and ran over a couple guys right there at the end of the game? That's the part that frustrates all of us the most. We know good and well, if we could have gotten the ball back, what Frank Harris would have done. And I hate that for the young man. But I'm his head coach, and it's totally my responsibility. There's not one thing that goes on that field that doesn't go through my headsets. And those 3 turnovers are on me. They're not on Frank.
Anything else for Coach Traylor? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate y'all. God bless. Birds up. We'll be back.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.